Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. In case you haven't noticed, it's so close to the end of the year. And I have a question for myself. Did I actually finish the TBRs that I set out to finish this year? And by that, I mean, of course, these books will self-destruct, my top 10 books to read in 2025, and my 5-star predictions. If you're new here and you don't know anything about my book tastes, I will link all of these videos down below. You should definitely check those out first because this will spoil that. But anywho, I'm gonna start with my self-destruct books. Last December, I made a book. No, I didn't make a book. Last December, I made a list of 8 books that I thought for sure I would get to or really wanted to get to and wanted to give myself a push to read them. Now, I'm going to preface this entire video by saying at the beginning of last year, I was very hopeful that 2025 would be a great year for me in reading and just in general. And unfortunately, the exact opposite happened. I'll just give you the very short version of it. I moved to a new state, ended up living in a hotel for a couple months because my house had a lot of plumbing issues. My father passed away, and I've just had a lot of really bad things happening to me. I had a double root canal. It's just been a lot, you know? It's been a lot. So I'm going to be lenient with myself on the self-destruct list. Some of them I definitely have already unhauled, and others I'm going to keep, even though the point of this list is that I unhaul them if I don't read them. But I am still interested in a few of these books, so I'm going to keep them because I just didn't have an opportunity to be in the best reading space, and I just took it easy on myself for the entire second 6 months of this year. So we're just gonna go with the flow and let's see what we've got. I'm gonna start with the 2 books that I actually read. So I read To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, and I didn't finish it, but I did end up DNFing it. I want to say that I was around page 280. It just kind of got boring. It started off pretty good. I would say the first 2 or 3 chapters were definitely super interesting, but the pacing is really off. There are some side characters that I just don't really give a shit about. And we started really leaning towards them and getting to know them. And I was no offense, where's the action? You really gave me a lot of action at the beginning and then you complete 180'd it. And now we're doing a character study situation. And I'm just not having a good time with that. So honestly, I DNF'd it. And I wasn't really that obsessed with the beginning anyways to force myself to push through. So I will be unhauling this one, even though I read it. So that's a little plot twist on this self-destruct list, I guess. And then I did also read The Sword of Kaigen. This one I really, really loved so much, and I did almost give it a 5 stars, but unfortunately there was one part in here that really pissed me off, and I just think that the author just didn't plan. I don't know. I feel like Emma Long maybe got to a point when writing this where she didn't know how to write a redemption arc, and so she kind of forced one in, and it feels a lot like the author is telling you how you should feel about the shitty actions of this person because she said so. But it's the character in question didn't show me any growth, didn't show me any remorse, etc., etc. So it's I didn't really love that bit, but I gave it a 4.5 stars. It was still a fantastic book. I cried 1,000 times. It was rough. Honestly, beautiful writing in general, but I just don't know why that very forced redemption arc just gave me the biggest ick. I'm sure if I were to reread this, now that I know it's coming, I probably wouldn't hate it as much because I'd be better prepared for it. But yes, I will be keeping this one. Okay, and so out of the 8 books, those are the only 2 I read. So let's talk about the 6 that I haven't. I'm going to start with Bloody Rose. I will be keeping this one. I was at the beginning of last year really tempted to reach toward this, but I kind of need a refresher of book 1. So I think I'm going to have to read book 1 and then read book 2 shortly thereafter. So I will be keeping this one because book 1 is a book that I really, really enjoyed. I wouldn't call it a favorite, but I think I gave it a 5 stars. It was just so fun and it was nice to see older characters. And so I will be keeping this one even though I didn't read it. And honestly, the same goes for Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton. This is a self-published urban romantasy. Is it urban? Would you consider it urban? I guess it's kind of urbanish romantasy, paranormal romantasy maybe. But I really, really enjoyed the first two books. Were they perfect? No. There was a small like plot thing in book 2 where they left a truck in the woods because it had gotten into an accident and it was like undrivable. But then like 2 scenes later, they walked out of the house and like got in the truck and drove away. But you know, it's an indie pub. She doesn't have as many resources. She doesn't have as many eyes on it as like a traditional pub would. So I obviously don't fault it for that. But despite that, like one little inconsistency, I guess you'd call it, I thought the main character was really spunky. She's kind of like a sassy, like attitude, like boss bitch kind of situation, but she was very like subtle about it in book 1, and in book 2 kind of grows into that a little bit more. For those of you who don't know, the main character is something called a nightmare, and she can kind of appear to people however she wants, I guess. She can be like their worst nightmares and stuff. And her brother went missing when they were younger, not like super young, but I think he went missing a couple of years previous to book 1. And anyways, the whole point is that she's wanting to find her brother. And then she ends up in a marriage of convenience, but it's like there's no like love between her and her husband, I guess. Do they get married? I don't even know. Well, it's an engagement at the point that I can remember it. And yeah, so I thought like, I don't know, it was fun. I thought it was fun. There's an interesting situation going on with her like dreams. She kind of has like a dreamscape in her head, and I don't know if it's real or not. And there are 2 love interests, and honestly, like it's very rare that I am rooting for both of them. But in Fortuna, I was rooting for both of them. But yeah, and also it's an indie pub author, so I don't really want to just like donate her books. I want to continue to support her. I want to keep reading. I do have books 1, 2, and 3 physically, but I believe that I have all of the ones that are out on my Kobo. Is that real? I might be lying, but if not, I have at least the first 4 or 5 on my Kobo as well. So I do want to still read this one, and I will be keeping it. And the first self-destruct book that I am probably going to unhaul is A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Eilen. And it's not that I'm sitting here like, oh, I don't even want to pick up this book. It sounds bad, blah, blah. Obviously, it doesn't sound bad. I have it. Someone gave it to me, but like I could have denied it. It wasn't a gift. It was like, hey, do you want this book that I'm unhauling? And I was like, sure, I'll try it. I just think I've lost interest for it. I think I should have read it when I got it initially, because that's kind of when the hype for it, like for me personally, was more prevalent. And I do think it's YA, and it's not, again, YA is not bad. But unfortunately, I'm just not reaching towards YA that often. And so even though this is a duology, and it could be great, I don't know, it could be great, but it's been on the self-destruct list all year. I've had it for over 4 years, and it's also not that long. It's under 370 pages. So like it's quick. I could have read it. I just chose not to, I guess. So this one I will unhaul. The next book that I did not read but will be keeping is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I am really intimidated by this series, and it's also enormous. And I've heard that even though it is accessible in the way it's written, it is also a very dense scientific sci-fi, even though it's like written in a way that's easy to understand from what I've been told. It's just scary. I really want to read it though, because I've heard it's amazing, but it's big. Like it's a lot of pages. It's like big in the fact that it's like, I'm going to have to use my brain for it. This is not a brain off, enjoying the ride kind of book. This is a you need to pay attention kind of book. So I haven't gotten to it yet, but it still intrigues me. It's one that I want to get to, and I will be keeping it. The next book, I am on the fence whether I should unhaul it or keep it. So the book is And I Darken by Kiersten White. Now, hear me out. I read Lucy Undying, and I loved that book so much. I loved it so much. So Kiersten White, I know that she can write a book. I will give 5 stars. But I also read The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, and I only gave that a 3 stars. And I really want to read this one. But every time I read the synopsis, like it's so fucking confusing. It's so confusing to me. It's like, do I just move forward with her and like read her newer stuff? Or should I read this backlog book? I've heard it's good. My friend Allie loves this book, if I remember correctly. And I know that Kiersten White can write a story I would love. So maybe I would love this one, even though I didn't like The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. That was a retelling, and I think this might also be a retelling. So like maybe let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this one or if you've read it and you think I would enjoy it, like, is it up my alley? Like, is it the kind of book I would enjoy? I honestly don't know. Something about the synopsis is so confusing to me, and I just have no idea if I would like this or not. And the last book I did not read, but I will be unhauling, is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This was gifted to me secondhand by my friend Danny. She read it and she was like, hey, I read it. I'm never going to read it again. Do you want it? And I was like, you know what? Yes, because it does sound interesting. So I'll take it. But I literally just haven't reached for it a single time. I honestly think that I've had this for like 3 years. I forgot about it like almost entirely until I was preparing to, like see my progress on my self-destruct books. And I was like, oh yeah, I do have that book, don't I? So unfortunately, I will be unhauling this one. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think Danny said it was like fine for her. She wasn't obsessed with it, but it wasn't awful. And I'm sure that it's good, honestly. Like, I'm sure that it's good, but I'm just not, I don't know. This is about killing men. This is about women killing men who oppress them. So like, that sounds awesome. Okay. Tell me in the comments, should I give this one a chance? If no one has like a really strong case for this one, then this will also be unhauled. So let me know. Okay, the next TBR I want to go over is the top books that I want to read in 2026. I'm just going to start with To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I read it or talked about it. We're going to move on. The next book I really wanted to read in 2025 is Someone Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I didn't get to it. But this is one that this is not a self-destruct list, so I don't have to like unhaul it or anything, but this one still super intrigues me. I do want to prioritize it in 2026, but I'm not going to put it in my top 10 because for some reason this is a series that really intimidates me and I don't know why. It's not that big and I really feel like I might like it. So I think if I take some of the pressure off by not putting it in my top 10, like I think I could really love it. It's also under 400 pages. And for fantasy, like that's small. So I don't know what's taking me so long, but here we are. The next book I did read, and that is Amari and the Despicable Wonders. I really liked this one. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first two, but I still think that Amari is a great character. And I love how she makes a lot of mistakes. And I think that she's a good role model because she makes mistakes and then she apologizes and tries to make amends. And I feel like we need to see more of that in media because a lot of people have issues apologizing, I feel like, in this day and age. But yeah, I think it was still a great book and I did enjoy it, but the other two just had a little bit more whimsy and magic for me. So I'm really hoping the next book will pick back up. And I know that B.B. Alston is a great writer, so I'm confident that he will. But yes, I did read this one. The next book I said I wanted to read last year is Ruin by John Gwynne, and I did read this one. I actually read most of the series last year. I believe I read Malice at the end of 2024, and then with my book club, The Reading Realm, which I will have the Discord for linked down below. We are currently on a pause for the holidays and while I get out of a reading slump. But we actually read this entire series together, which was fantastic. And I loved having the like boost to help me get through a series. So I'm thinking in 2026, we will pick one series to read together and then we'll read a bunch of standalones in between. So we'll do like first book in a series, 2 standalones, second book in a series, 2 standalones, third book, 2 standalones, fourth book. I don't know if it'll be a 4-book series, trilogy, whatever. But I think that trying to read too many first books in a series with the book club definitely wasn't productive to me as an individual finishing the series I'm already reading. So I think we're going to try to do a lot more standalones next year. So if you're interested in reading with us, check out the Discord, which is linked down below. Thank you. My mouth is so dry. So if you're interested in reading with us, check out the Discord link. It will always be in my description down below. And another book I wanted to read last year is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle, which I did read. Unfortunately, I really didn't enjoy this one. I thought the tone was all over the place. There were serious things and funny things, but the funny things weren't really that funny. It was like trying too hard to be funny, and I couldn't tell if it wanted to be cozy or dark. I couldn't tell if this book even knew what it wanted to do. Like, I felt like I was reading a first draft. It really felt unfinished. And to be perfectly honest, it was kind of really fucking boring. And the only reason I finished it is because I had the audiobook out from the library and it's short and I read it for Draconathon. And that is really disappointing because this book sounded so good and the cover is so pretty. Like, I love the artwork and stuff, but unfortunately, I won't be keeping this one. I will be unhauling it. Another book I wanted to read last year was Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, which I just talked about. I'm keeping it. because it was on the self-destruct list. I'm not going to get rid of it, and I do still want to get to it, but I probably won't put it on another top list this year. I want to freshen up my list with some things that are maybe newer and will grab my attention quicker. I think that might help. And the last book that I put on my top books to read in 2025 list is The Last Fee Hunter by Selene Goldenberg. And this one I still really want to read, actually really badly. So this one I really wanted to read in August for Draconithon, but unfortunately I was hit with a house that my house wouldn't cooperate. Let's just say that. So even though I had planned to read it in August, I unfortunately never got to it, but I'm still really intrigued by this one. So hopefully you will see me talk about it in 2026. Hi, Editing Rachel here. I totally didn't talk about two of the books that I was supposed to talk about, so I'm here to talk about them now. One of the books that I was supposed to talk about on this list is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Now, I haven't read this one, and the reason for that is I think I made the top 10 list before this book even came out. I believe it came out in early 2025, but I had made this list prior to that, if I remember correctly. Anyways, a lot of people who I really trust ended up not liking it. And I think I do still want to read this book, but I feel like I need some distance from those negative reviews before I can actually commit and read that one, because it is a little bit longer and I want to love it so badly. Like, it sounds really good. It kind of sounds like a sister type story, not at all related, but in vibes, like a sister story to Addie LaRue, which I loved so much. So I haven't read that one yet, and that's the reason I need to distance myself from those thoughts and kind of let them like fade to the wayside, and I'll read it when I don't remember that people hated it. The other book that I forgot to talk about is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. Now, this is actually a series that I love so much, and I actually bought the first two books in these matching covers just recently. There's a glare from my computer, so it's like really colorful. I'm sorry about that. This is the perfect like cozy fantasy where there is a little bit of action, there is like high stakes, but something about the characters and the setting still feels like so cozy, even though there's a lot of shit going on. And I just haven't read this one yet. This one is still high in my like orbit of like books I'm wanting to read. So I do need to read this one hopefully soon. And I'm just chalking this one up to my year being absolutely dog shit. So again, nothing against this book in particular. And I do feel confident in myself that if my year had been like a normal year and not had 82 million bad things happen to me, I probably would have read this last year, because I still really want to get to it. Every time I see it on my shelves, I like want to reach for it. And I am almost tempted to reread the first two just because they're so good and so cozy. And I think it would be quick to get through them because I've already read them, and then continue the series. So now I'll throw you back over to other Rachel. Okay, and finally, the last TBR list from 2025 that I want to talk about is my 5-star predictions. Did I read them, and did I 5-star them? The first book I'm going to talk about is Malice by John Gwynne. I did read it. I read the whole series starting in 2024. I didn't give it a 5 stars. I was so close to giving it a 5 stars, but unfortunately it just wasn't there for me. So I did give it a 4.5 stars. But there are a couple of characters in here that I would put in like top 10 characters of all time. Gar, for instance. And I also really loved Cohen. And so I think I will reread this series in the future. And it has potential to become nostalgic to me and amp it up that last half star and become a 5 star. So unfortunately not a 5 star, but it was really close. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. I actually don't have my physical copy anymore. I did unhaul it a couple of months ago, I believe. And that's because I read it. And I had the old cover, first of all, which my friend Danny sent me. So I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry. But I did read 35% of it. And it's not that it was bad. It was just slow. And there's been a theme this year of me with slow books. Like, I really have been needing books that are fast paced this year. It's the only way to keep my attention. If I have to spend a lot of time like slogging through world building, which I normally love. I normally love slow books, which is actually a miracle that I read most of this series last year. It's a miracle. So I'm glad we finished that before everything happened with the move in the house. But yeah, the Lies Nakamura, like it was fine. Like I think it was like good. I enjoyed the setup and I could see like the crumbs of where it was going. But unfortunately, it just wasn't holding my attention. And I do have it on ebook. So I unhauled the other copy because it was so small and stiff. And so I think I'll reread it on ebook. And then if I get through the series and it becomes a series I love, I'll buy the newer cover. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't finish that one, but I did technically read it. I'm not giving it a rating because I only, I'm soft DNFing it. If it was a hard DNF, I might rate it like 2 stars just based on the fact that it wasn't holding my attention. But I don't think it's a 2-star book, so I'm not rating it. But I will try again someday for that one for sure. The next book on my 5-star predictions list last year was The Sword of Kagan by M.L. Wong. Was this a 5-star book? No, because of that one thing I talked about, that forced redemption that didn't feel earned by the character. I did give it a 4 stars. Again, I thought it was great. I think the writing is beautiful. Does it deserve 5 stars? Yeah, probably. And I think this is a book I might reread. It felt kind of cathartic in a way to read about some of the stuff that was happening in here because it kind of allowed me to cry a little bit about specific themes. And I just think that maybe I'll reread it and it will be a 5 stars. But because of how like annoyed I was at that one character redemption attempt, it just didn't get there fully for me. So I did give it a 4. And the last 2 books on my 5-star prediction list, I actually, again, did not get to, which is the theme of 2025. I just didn't get to it. I didn't have time. My life flipped itself on its head and fell down a cliff. To say the least. So those 2 books are Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Faerie Amide and The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. And these are both books that I do think I'm going to love. I've read Ace of Spades by Faerie Amide, and I loved that book. And I did give that book a 5 stars just based on the fact that it was fast-paced, entertaining. The characters were great. The writing was easy to read but engaging, kept me on the edge of my seat. Like I was like shocked in some places. It was also queer. So like it just had a lot going for it and I really loved it. And so I'm confident I will love that one also. And this one, I've never read anything by Chelsea Abdullah. I don't know if she has any other series besides this one, but I am so intrigued by it. And I just have only ever heard great things. I don't think like a fuck ton of people have read it. I don't know. I could be wrong. Have a fuck ton of people read this and I'm just out of the loop? I feel like I don't hear like a lot of people talking about it, but the people that do talk about it are obsessed with it and have only ever said good things about it. Ooh, it's blurbed by Andrea Stewart, who I love. A sweeping adventure of tales within tales, shimmering with magic, a beautifully crafted adventure. It's got a lot of good reviews. But yeah, so I do think that these are 2 I still want to read. And these are definitely higher, maybe not at the tippy top, but they are higher in my priorities for 2026. Whew, well, I don't know about you, but my mouth is tired and dry from all of that talking. I think overall for what life handed me in 2025, this could have been worse. I think most of these, I actually wrote this down. These are my lists. So for the self-destruct list, I read 25% of them, which is only a quarter, which was 2 out of 8. But like I only read 2 out of 8 and then I'm unhauling a couple that I just know I'm never going to get to. And then I'm keeping the ones that I'm still interested in because I'm, again, being lenient with myself. So like that could have been worse. My top 10, I read half. I read half of my top 10. Like I really was trying. I was really trying to get through that list this year until, June happened. And then just my whole life turned upside down. And my 5-star predictions, I read or attempted to read 3 out of 5 of them. So I feel like I tried really hard. It could have been worse. And you know what? A win is a win. The fact that it wasn't as bad as it could be, to me, that's a win. A win is a win. Did you manage to accomplish all of the yearly TBRs that you put out for yourself? I would love to know in the comments how well you did. And if any of these books are like your favorite book of all time and I need to prioritize it immediately, let me know. And since it is almost the new year, leave the firework emoji down in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye.